Board. Games. Board games. Board games. I might be talking about board games. Board games. But I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little la 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 bit of singing. And today I'll talk about the best game I made in the past week, but there's not a lot of rest. I mean, there were only 2 games that I made in the past week, and to compare one to the other, I mean, that comparison feels weak. But anyway, playtest, I guess I'm going to recap. Playtest yesterday, put it on the map. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I am Bez, and it is 10 a.m. UK time, which means it's time for Bezzy Beats and Board Game Blether. Yesterday, I went to playtest a bunch of things. Also, yeah, my bike got stolen, which you would have heard about if you joined my yesterday stream. That was, yeah, I'm still annoyed about it. But yeah, today's just going to be a quick thing saying, yeah, this is what I playtested, showing you the thing, comparing skulls against ghosts, seeing which one is which, and yeah, we'll generally have a chat about stuff I playtested. Let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. So what are some of your recent highlights? What have you been up to? What have you enjoyed? What has happened to you? Even if there's something that you didn't enjoy, let me know, it's okay. I mean, not everything can be something that you enjoyed. Yesterday, so I got up, look, the Kickstarter's doing okay. It's only gathered a couple new people in the past 24 hours, which isn't great, but we are in the mid-campaign lull. It's interesting because my experience for previous campaigns, with the last Bezzy Bargain Bag, it was literally just 2.5 days. In the past, I've done things which are generally either really small, I don't expect very much, and I kind of, yeah, I'm happy to lay back, like the stickers, or it's things that are 30 days, something like that. And so for those, I expect there to be a lull, and I expect there to be an uptick at the end. Will there be an uptick for this one? I do not know. For this campaign, I knew that it was going to be fewer people going into it, as I'd said, at the point where for a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some mixed noises, there were like 200 people following it. For this one, there were like 50. So it felt like it was probably going to follow a similar thing, that maybe we'll have 200, 300 people. It looks like, fingers crossed, we might get to 300. I'm hoping for that. I do really hope for that. And let me actually... But that is the Kickstarter. That's emotionally... I think emotionally it's just that even though I say it's a busy bargain bag, in a way I shouldn't care, but having all these multiple versions, I do really care. And it is a thing that maybe I cared a little bit more than I should. It's important to not care too much. That's the thing. When you're running a Kickstarter, you have to be able to switch your brain off and do other things. You can't let yourself be distracted and leave a bike out for even a minute when it's not locked and then be like, oh no, I did that. And then, yeah, rush out and kick yourself because it was you who made the stupid mistake and you who let your bike get stolen. And yes, this is kind of victim blaming. And ideally, whoever stole the bike shouldn't have taken it. But yeah, I understand it is incredibly tempting when it's like, I don't even have to break a lock. It's just there. Oh, well, you let me grab it. It's a new bike. Hooray. I needed a new bike. And, someone who's a bit short of money could get that. And, it was worth hundreds of pounds. And so, like, they could have, taken it and flogged it for 50 or something quite easily. Or, yeah, it's. But that was definitely the low light. After my bike got stolen, it was like, okay, what am I going to do about it? I I could go to the police. I don't think the police would do anything. Given when the van got stolen, like how quickly that was just scrubbed. Okay, the fact that it's covered in stickers, I don't think it's going to do anything. Um, yeah, it does look very different to any other bike, but it's lost. I don't. And do I So the choices were stay at home and feel a bit sad, or go off to playtests, which is something that I enjoy, and obviously I'm going to go to playtest. Um, Yesterday I did make these sheets, so I don't know if you can sort of see a little ghost where this is kind of like a big mouth, and then there's so that's the ghost, and there's also a little skull that you might be able to see where there's the teeth, or you could have the teeth here, and then that's that there. And this is a game that I made in the morning. It's an idea that I'd had, um, and here's a little version because I wasn't quite sure what size do these things need to be. Let's experiment with that. Anyway, so this game is not just skulls versus ghosts. I had this idea in my head. I was thinking of Voyages by Rory Muldoon, and then a bit of help with Matthew Dunstan, and they did this amazing Kickstarter that just blew up. And I was thinking about roll and write games, and if I could make something that was like just one single sheet potentially to work with them. Potentially, I think there's another zebrafish. Some people have come up with a similar idea. I could do it myself potentially. And I do think that the whole rolling and moving and everything of that game is really good. But yeah, while I was walking around, I had this idea for people trying to color in a bit of paper that could be two different things. And then at the end, maybe you show it to a stranger and you just say, what does this look like? Ghost or skull? And whichever words they say first, or whichever answer they give first, that's who wins. And that's pretty much the game. That was an invention, and yeah, what else? I made that. I went to playtest. I saw the people. It was lovely to hang out with everyone. I saw Layla, my good friend, who's come back from Turkey, and we hung out for a bit. Oh my gosh, I've got Turkish delight. That makes me happy. Yeah, that's going to be something that I have a tiny bit of later today. Um, we started off playtesting Ellie Dix's games. We playtest, and before I get into that, let me take a quick break and talk about brilliant thing was a little thing which is brilliant. Why do I like playtesting? Why do I like going there? Why is that such a better thing than saying, okay, you know what? I'm not going to come. I'm going to stay at home and watch videos or whatever. Well, playtesting, it allows me to get games made. So I had a vague idea of a cooperative balloony fill your balloon game, and it didn't, and I wasn't sure if it would work, but by virtue of having somewhat one other person play it, it was like, oh, actually, this does kind of work. There is a tiny amount of tension. And then we talked about, okay, maybe if you are allowed to play multiple cards, that might be interesting. Like have individual decks. Like there was we tried out a few variants. I learn games better. I understand them better, and I get games actually made. Like with this, I wouldn't have known. Okay, how do I progress with it? What needs to change unless I'd playtested it, and playtest. And hello to me. It is lovely to see you. Just talking about the brilliant thing of the day, which is playtesting. And for me, playtesting it means that I'm able to finish the games. It means that I'm able to make games that hopefully people will enjoy, that might be valuable to others, that maybe a publisher will um, sign on and give me money for, that maybe I can sell and charge money for and feel good about that. Um, that's the main reason for playtesting, obviously, to make good games. But then also, it's not just about the specific games, it's about understanding games. Every time when I play a game, whether it's my own or other people's, and then we decide, okay, that didn't work, this works, and these are some possible solutions. Going through that analytical process, it makes me better at understanding what makes a good game. So when we were playing Ellie's game and thinking about, okay, this needs more chaos, or playing this game and thinking, well, the final player has nothing to do, and you know, playing my game and realizing, oh yes, playing to you need uncertainty. Uncertainty is what brings about the tension, and unless and the uncertainty needs to be something that you acted upon. So if my partner plays cards that I don't know what they are and they get revealed later, well, I'm going to trust the partner to play them correctly. And again, that's not something, I guess it doesn't have to be that you acted upon, but like if you trust your partner to make a sensible move, then that uncertainty means that even if you don't know what they played, you trust them, and so you've got basically certainty anyway. It has to be the uncertainty of, are we going to pass this, fail this, uncertainty of something that matters. Anyway, so I learn more about games. That's the second thing. And then third thing, just for this, meeting other people, sharing time together, having that company. We have 90 minutes of playing and then 30 minutes of break, 90 minutes of playing, 30 minutes of break. But generally, like, even in the Sundays where it's 90 minutes of playing, 5 minutes of break, and a break time is basically just to go to the loo, to get a drink if you need it, and to come back. Even then, it's an enjoyable thing. It's a sociable thing. At least with board games. Obviously, with video games, it might be very different. But playtesting, multiplayer board games, it feels sociable. You have this shared experience, and that is a lovely thing. Um, and fourth, I am going to recommend a venue, Royal Festival Hall. It's light, it's breezy, and there are nice fancy food trucks outside. In fact, I got brie tempura, by which I mean brie battered and deep fried. I would definitely have that again. I also had cheese fondue chips, which were fairly tasty, but uh, don't feel inspired to have them again. But yeah, the brie tempura. Anyway, those are the four reasons why playtesting is brilliant. Make the game better, learn more about games, be with people, and be in a new venue. That is that. Anyway, so back to recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Other than playtesting, I obviously travelled on the underground. Going there was like, wow, there's so many people not wearing a mask. I counted, and it was like 7 people, including myself, wearing a mask. 5 people not wearing a mask. It felt like a lot of people to not wear masks. I mean, given that the pandemic's not yet over and it doesn't feel fully safe yet, but on my way back, I did go to the library. I read a few comics. I read, yeah, I'm going to actually give you the title. So, um, the things that I read were Tokyo Tara Reba Girls, And Tokyo Tarareba Girls is all about these women who are basically cheating with married men, it seems like. And then I read an issue of Black Canary, and that kind of, at least I was out of the house again. I think I'm going to try and visit the library more often. It closes at 5, maybe I'll go there today. That was a delight. And coming home, checking my Kickstarter, writing updates, doing a bit of promotion. Anyway, feel free to comment, ask questions from like follow about anything, but especially about playtesting, because that's what I want to talk about now. So what did I playtest and what did I learn? First thing we playtested, dice, thrown, choosing dice, being like, ooh, this is interesting. And a lovely game by Ellie Dix, not fantastic. And hello Jess, it is lovely to see you. From the first game that we playtested, what I learned was that, yeah, reduce complexity, don't need so many cards, and also make sure everyone has something to do. Second game, Old Biddy, a lovely auction bidding game from Ellie Dix, and it's all about interaction. It's all about, there was a little bit more information now. People are increasing the value of their own colors. There's an aspect of people are stealing, or not stealing, people are swapping around from a communal pile these things that reduce the value of one of your colors to 0. So you'll only score for 2 of your colors. So ideally you want it to be the lowest one. I think what this taught me is that a little bit of information about what the other people are doing is a good thing. And when you have all the information going on, like if you've got a good amount of information about what the game state is, then you want that to roughly be the middle of the game. Like at a point where you know who won, you want that to be the end of the game, right? But if you're like, okay, this is what's going on, okay, now I can make one last ditch attempt to try and change everything for the better, so I am the winner, that feels like it wants to be the middle. At least for me. That's how I felt. We played a second game. We played a game from Colin, at least I played a game from Colin. It was racing, it was fun, there were lots of cards, and again, reaffirming the difference between the rules. The rule structure was really good. There was a lot of great stuff going on, but then the cards, the content, that stuff still has to be designed and developed, and there's a lot more that could go into those cards. And I think that there needs to be some consistency of tone. It's not that they all have to be consistent. Like if some are weak and some are powerful and some are okay, easy to do and some are difficult to do, then that's fine as long as there's generally a sense of wacky chaos. But if you have one card that's got a dexterity element and is this wacky chaos, and then everything else is quite, staid and calculating, then that doesn't feel quite right. I think that what I learned is that, yes, the numbers on cards, the actual content, the text on cards is going to make as much, if not more, difference to the game than the actual rules of the game, if that makes sense. And then I playtested 2 of my own games. So, firstly, I would like to ask you, actually, let me show you this one first. So, skull or ghost, what does this look like? A skull or a ghost? Let me know what you think this looks like. And that is basically the game. 2 people take turns colouring in this sheet. So that's what it looks like before we started colouring it in. And then we were colouring it in 2 colours, trying to make it so that one of 2 different things becomes more visible. And hello, Tom Cauldron, it's lovely to see you. My question for you today is skull or ghost? What do you see? which one does it look more like? Does it look like either of these things? And this is basically my brand new game. It's two shapes sort of superimposed on top of each other and divided into extra shapes, and each time you just says it's a skull. Okay, we're going with skull. First answer, that's it. And I won't say who won, but the idea is that one person's trying to make a skull, one person's trying to make a ghost. I was playing this against Colin, and then you spend about 10 minutes playing and deciding which bits to color in, trying to make your object a more prominent thing. And then you show it to a third party and you just say, skull or ghost? I'm not sure about the presentation yet. Like, there's definitely going to be a third party who wasn't even playing the game. But I think, like, it doesn't quite work if you just say, what do you see? Because then it's quite likely they might not see either of those things. So I think you have to give them the two options. And hello, Puskas Tibor, who says, for me, it's a ghost. But on the day, we decided that, I think, Ellie Dix, so it was myself and Colin playing, and then we showed it to Ellie, said, oh, that's a skull. And then, yeah, so I won't say who won yet, but the second game that we played was me trying to work out how small it can be. I think this is too small for the pens, but again, skull or ghost. So let me know which one you think. Tom, for the previous one, said, I see a grumpy puppy. But of those two options, I'd go for ghost. So the big one is a grumpy puppy, apparently. I can't see it myself, but okay. So the little one, which one do you see here? So the first one, so again, myself and Colin were playing and we were exploring. I think that there's a few things that I realized. Firstly, these horizontal lines, the reason why there are horizontal lines is because I want there to be some randomness in which bits you're allowed to fill in. I don't think you should be allowed to fill in whichever one you want. Jess says that for this one, I can see a monster and an old man. But if you had to choose one of the two, which one do you choose, skull or ghost, for this one? I might actually try it without numbers at all, but I'm now thinking that firstly, the lines, so you roll a die, and then if you get a 1, you need to do something in the 1 row, a 2 is somewhere in the 2 row, the 3 is somewhere in the 3 row, and so forth. And that didn't quite work because with this bit of paper, there's a lot fewer things in number 1. And so it needs to be done not by size of area, but by number of areas. Hello, CD. Good evening to you. I hope that you're generally well. No need to apologize. And it's always a pleasure when you jump in. Jess says that this one is an old man ghost. And the final picture that I did, it's this way around. This one was with Ellie Dix. So let me know which one you see here, skull or ghost. So yes, talking more about this game. I think we decided that the little pieces, like in the middle, some of them are too small, some of them feel inconsequential, and I want to make them all bigger. Oh, CD, the first answer we got is ghostly meeple. Boom. Thank you for that. If anyone else wants to say anything, but based on the first a mini meeple in the middle, I can't see the. I mean, I see the. Do you mean, are these the arms of the meeple you're talking about? Because I can't see the mini meeple. Spooky ghosts. Okay, so just so in case anyone's wondering who won, so this one, I was trying to be a skull, and based on the results on the day and also the first results today, I won. This one, I was trying to be a skull, Colin was trying to be a ghost, and based on the results on the day I won, but based on the feedback today, Colin won. And this one, I was doing the ghost, and it's yeah. So basically that's it. You've got two colors. You choose either one of the colors. You try to make it so that you get rid of the separation between the other person's thing. So where there is this line for the skull, obliterate that so it's not as obvious. So you get rid of the silhouette. And it was actually surprisingly strategic. I think that this could be a really good game. I think that I need to learn how to make these sheets, and I need to work out, okay, do we want to roll a die for randomness? Is it just as well going whichever space you choose? Do you want to do like 1 to 5 and then 6 is random, something like that? And then you play it 2-player. You either show it off to like a stranger in the cafe or someone at the board game group you're at saying, hey, skull or ghost. And then the idea is that you get like maybe 50 sheets of paper, and each sheet of paper would be a totally different pairing if I could work it out. So like you'd have like fish or love heart, eye or car. I don't know, like two things. And I wrote a short list of things that might work, and I came up with 12 things off the top of my head. I could do cats. Cats could totally work. That just occurred to me. But if I look at open recent simple objects, there we go. Fish, skull, ghost, love heart, eye, tree, boat, car, jumper, and smiley face. Those were the things that came to my head, and that's the game. So yeah, I think the things that I learned from that are that even I overcomplicate things. But even so, it was useful seeing this, because sometimes you do want it to be slightly overcomplicated, so you can then like go scale it back and see how it works. And there's massive value in just being like, okay, I don't know how to do this. I don't know if it will work. I've thought about it for a while, and just getting it out there. I spent about a couple of minutes at most drawing this and trying to make something that would work, and then photocopying it with my printer. I've got a printer scanner thing that obviously I use, but yeah, it's the value of getting stuff out there. Blue arms, blue legs says. So yeah, the blue arms and the blue legs. Do you mean like that? Anyway, so Jess says, I have a ticket for a rave tonight, but I don't want to go and catch COVID. The tickets were very expensive, but I have to travel to the UK in 2 weeks. I mean, that's a tricky question. If you catch COVID, I mean, how long is it going to take you to recover? I mean, I'm assuming you are double vaxxed and you've got a booster shot, I don't know, or at least double vaxxed. But I know when I caught it, it was like a slightly less than a couple of weeks. So in theory, I mean, how good are the safety measures at this venue? That's what I would be basing it off. You could also potentially sell the tickets, like rather than just give it up, maybe sell it for half price or something to get some of the money back. Say, hey, if anyone wants to do this, I'm cautious about COVID, but yeah, everyone has to test to enter the rave. I mean, that's good at least. But even so, like Tom Cauldron says, I'm COVIDy just now. Yeah, because we all went to aircon, and I don't. I need to actually. I'm going to do one last test for myself again today to see. But when I last tested it, it hasn't gone. Um, just says some people will fake the test. I am sure. Yeah, I mean, there's no way, like, unless they actually see you taking the test. Apparently, that's what happens in Germany. Apparently, in Germany, if you want to get, a COVID thing to say, hey, this is, I am free to fly, for example, then in Germany, you need to actually get a nurse to test you, and then they kind of sign off to say, yes, this person was tested by me, which is really interesting. So, like, if you're doing it just for your personal safety, just for seeing a friend or whatever, hey, that's up to you. But if you're doing it for like a big scale event or travel, then in Germany, they actually, someone else administers the test, which is the only way that you can, yeah. It sounds like you've already had a good amount of fun. Like, I mean, I know that you've been away from people and you want to go with people, but if you want to, if you are asking for an opinion and you're asking for someone to sway you one way or the other, I would suggest not going. But like, it's up to you. Like, I don't want to make your decision for you. Um, and CD says the same thing. In New Zealand, we have to have witnessed tests for international travel. And yeah, like in the UK, from my understanding, you just get to test and then go. I don't know. I don't understand it. I've not been planning international travel, and the whole thing was what made me want to not go to Cannes or Nuremberg. But anyway, and Jess says like it's already 5 hours after it started. It started apparently 12 noon to 12 midnight. So yeah, I would suggest, yeah, have an early night. So let's see. And just for the record, I mean, even though, yes, just went to a tiny island in Thailand, which sounds very exotic, but that's like me saying, oh, I went to a lovely place in England. I mean, it's relatively the same 100 miles away. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, yes, Tom, myself, Stephen, Josie, Ian, and Daksha, like at my stands, like all doing stuff. And obviously, it was lovely to see the other people who were helping me out. I mean, I'm kind of cautious about seeing Nate starting to name the other people, but yeah, I got to watch Paula Denning and Matthew Jude and Ian Brocklebank and Zach Shaw all play one of my games, which is a lovely thing. I got lots of people coming over. I saw Dave Luza, which was lovely. We had a little elbow. I wasn't hugging during the thing. I did not hug anyone during the convention hours as a strict, I am not hugging you. And I know that, I like hugs. I love hugs. But it did, like, I could have gone, okay, I'm going to hug selected people, but then that's more stress. That's more who do I choose to hug. So for me, it's much easier to just have a blanket rule. I did notice that on Saturday, Sunday, people started to be a little bit more laissez-faire about the wearing of masks while standing up, because I tried to keep mine on, but then when we sat down for a demo, I would ask people, are you okay with me taking it off? Because it is much easier to speak, to enunciate, especially when you're tired and you've been speaking for like 12 hours that day already. And CDS, fair enough, same for all is easier, much, much easier. I've already got a lot to think about when I'm demonstrating games, when I'm trying to sell stuff, and things pop up like, oh, my card machine doesn't work, Oh, here's a reviewer that I didn't know. Do I give them a game or not? Which games do I offer them? And trying to greet people. And it's, yeah, same for all is easier. And CD says, what happened at Terracon? Oh, well, about 5,000 people. No, 2,500 people. Maybe 3,000. About 2,500, 3,000 people, I'm going to say. I would say that I interacted with, let's say, conservatively, 4 people every 10 minutes, 24 people an hour, 10 hours, 30 hours. I probably interacted with about maybe 1,000 people. No, so the reason why I said 5,000 is because 5,000 is the turnstile attendance. And so sometimes they rate the turnstile attendance where if someone comes for Friday and Saturday and Sunday, then it counts them 3 times. But the more valuable number, at least for me, I think is just the number of individuals. So you've got those 2 numbers, individuals or, turnstile, as they call it. And it was a great I've already, if you want to know more about it, check out the show that we did on Monday on the road trip, coming back with Josie and Daksha from inside the car. But we were buzzing, we were high from being around people. It was just so lovely. And yeah, seeing international people, like obviously some superstars like Ronnie Smith and Monique, and then Kim Joy from the Great British Bake Off, who joined in my game, which was a lot of fun, of Yogi Stock Guru. And what else was the highlight? The food was good. But on Sunday, just to give an example, I woke up, I was tired. I was like, oh, and then I was coming out, and then I got to the convention center, and I was just like, wow, there's all the people. I'm excited. I'm happy again. I'm supercharged. And so, yes, I am very, very glad I went. And everyone is at the point where we need to be conscious of, yes, we're taking risks. And it was for that reason that Chris didn't actually travel over last week. Anyway, talking about getting COVID, Tom, I'm sorry that you had COVID. I hope that you get well soon. And I guess if you've got it, Paula's got it, I hope that you are both generally okay. And fingers crossed you're not too bad given the stuff that you've done, like the injections that you've had. And I hope that you get well soon. Just wants to say, my UK travel is really important because I've not seen my family since 2019. And my dad's died since then. And my mum almost died of COVID, so it's important that I make it in April. It's my only chance until next April, really. So I don't want to get COVID before I go in case it stops me from going. And apart from your mum kicking your ass or whatever, I think that, yeah, the sadness and the separation, that's a really good reason to, yeah, to be careful and not go to the rave. I would 100% agree. And so I think that for the 2 weeks beforehand, given it's only 2 weeks before your travel, it would be lovely to see you. And yes, let me know when you're flying out of here. I should say that, yeah, and we can, but anyway, yeah, let me know the dates privately. And I've got a lot going on right now, and someone might have to start living with me soon for a wee bit, but it'll be fine. Like, you can stay over. It's still like my place, if you know what I mean. Anyway, COVID to the side. Yes, so back to this game. I'm feeling good about it. That's what I'm going to do. The other thing that I played was a game. This is not the title, but it's a game themed around balloons. So for UK Games Expo, I want to have an actual balloon machine. I'm going to be putting games into balloons. I bought it at Nuremberg 2020. I was super excited. This was my whimsy budget. I paid €500 for it, plus money to get it onto the plane. It cost me like about 500 quid. I got it here. I took it to aircon. I was like, yeah, this is good fun. I'm filling up all these balloons. And people were wandering around with balloons, literally with my game inside. You've got to have special balloons. Each of these balloons costs about like £1, but then you stretch it with a special machine, and then you put the game inside or whatever. And then, or, like, you could even put a bottle of wine inside. But if you put a bottle of wine inside and you pick it up from the top, it's probably going to burst. Like, there's a weight limit within each balloon. So in theory, they talked about how they did have bottles of champagne, but you kind of pick it up and then you need to be very careful, or you pick it up from the bottom, sort of thing. Anyway, so these are like, obviously a stuffed toy works well because those are super light. You can also put balloons with air into the balloons with air, so you can fill in like a tiny little balloon and then put it in. Obviously it has to be small enough to go into the neck, and that is my exciting yeah. And CD says that sounds amazing. Yes, it is amazing, and I just thought this is something that will capture people's imagination at convention. So I bought that at Nuremberg 2020, just before the pandemic, and then I had it at Aircon 2020 when the pandemic was happening, and like people were talking about it, and I would have taken it to UK Games Expo 2020. That would have been my big thing, but it's going to be unveiled upon the world. UK Games Expo 2022. I'm super excited about it, and we might need an actual balloon technician. It's not a complicated job, so like you do need to be able to tie balloon knots with your hands and to do simple things. But yep, so you can absolutely put games into balloons as long as it's not too heavy. And I was thinking maybe like you buy a certain amount of stuff and then you get the option to get it gift wrapped, or maybe there's just someone constantly standing at this balloon technician place, like they are taking money, and if you wait, like as long as you queue up, as long as you're patient, they will put it into the balloon. Because I think that it's going to cost me about £1 for each thing I put into the balloon, but I would rather put that into the cost of the game and say, okay, there you go, and it doesn't, yeah, like that's it. Like if you want it in a balloon, you get it in a balloon, just you have to hang around. Anyway, so based on that, Josie said, you need a game that has balloons in it. Not actual balloons, just a card game, but it's themed around balloons. So when people say, oh, why do you have these games in a balloon? They don't just say, oh, go to Bez's stand, Bez is putting games into balloons. It's also because Bez has a new game about balloons. And so I played a card game. You can play this. I'll tell you all the rules. You just need a deck of cards. It's not very good yet, but all the rules that I played with yesterday. You remove. So what's 9? What's a multiple of 9? 45, 54. Yes. So if you've got 54 cards, which is 4 suits, 2 jokers, that's what you need. Numbers are worth the numbers. Jokers and face cards are worth 1. Shuffle them all up. Deal each person 5 cards. And then each turn, what you're going to do is put down 3 in the middle, face up, and then each person puts a card on each of these 3 cards face down. You're trying to fill balloons. If you go above 15, then the balloon bursts, and that's not good. You try to make it through the entire deck and only burst 3 balloons. You've got 3 lives. That's it. We played 2 times, Ellie and I, and the second time we went to the end just to see how much we would lose by. We had 4 burst balloons. So if there's like a 10 in the middle, then you're probably going to put something really small there, and your opponents will put something small there. But maybe you've got these big cards, like you might have a 10 in your hand, and it's like, when do I play this 10? Because I need to play it at some point, but I don't want to play it when it's going to be like bursting a balloon. So it's kind of guessing what your opponents might do. And not a balloon L deck. Like, although that's actually another cool idea. Huh. No, I'm not going to do that between now and UK Games Expo. That feels like, not a good idea. If I had already done categorical, I might be tempted to, but no, like I see what you're saying, like letters made out of balloon shapes. But the point is, you've got these cards, try to get to 15, get to the end, last hand, you only draw one, free go into the middle, and then your final 3 cards, you're trying to fill the balloons. And that was the game. It felt fine, but it feels like now I just want to try and work out the exact numbers. So I'm going to stick with, just for prototyping purposes, just use a bunch of numbers from a couple of decks of cards I've got, but I might have one deck for each player, so they've got things that they've got to stuff into the balloons, plus the communal deck of balloons that comes out. And so that is, and I was happy with that. And Ellie suggested a tweak where you're allowed to keep playing. You're allowed to keep playing multiple things. Maybe you've got a finite number of balloons. Maybe you've got to get everything into the balloons. CD says maybe it could be a push your luck game. Some cards are blowing up the balloon. Some are pop. Some are tying off the balloons. Are you suggesting that you kind of flip from flip them face up off the top? Like, I'm thinking that, the hidden placement and then the moment of reveal is quite a nice thing, but I am thinking about having some push your luck aspect where maybe you play multiple cards onto the one balloon, and maybe you have to play multiple cards onto the one balloon, which would be kind of interesting. So if all of your cards were quite small, then, and maybe like I make the deck a little bit, if all the cards are smaller numbers, then if I put 3 cards in front of something, then maybe it's 3 because they're all ones. Maybe one of them's a napkin, and the napkin actually just offers a bit of cushioning. Maybe it's maybe they're all 3s, and I've actually put 9 weight into the balloon, and it's going to be, so CD says, something like that, keep going until you stop or pop. And there's a lot of push your luck games, but I wanted to kind of focus on the bit that feels slightly new, which is I'm going to focus on the 2-player cooperative hidden things on multiple balloons with a moment of reveal. But no, I like the idea of maybe you've got, this tying off the balloon and, different cards doing different things. That's definitely the kind of vibe I want to go for. So again, this does not involve real balloons, but there will be real balloons at the stand. And that was the final game that I tested. And again, it reconfirmed the value of just taking decks of cards, how decks of cards are so brilliant. That, honestly, this game, a lot of the tweaks that I'll make, some of them, they will be better with custom cards, but I think that it would be 90% as good with a deck of cards, and it's just reaffirming the value of what's going on in the balloon. CD says, maybe it's embellishing the balloon. You have to have a big enough one to embellish. Oh, like putting in air and then you... Oh no, it's not about how much air you put in these balloons. It's about how much weight they have. It's about objects in balloons. And so I know this is a very niche and unusual topic for a game, but, it'll be right there at the stand. So hopefully this is a game about deciding how many things you put into a balloon and avoiding it popping. And maybe like there's a sharpness rating, maybe there's a weight rating. And if either of these 2 numbers get too high, then your balloon pops, and 3 lives you lose is kind of quite a nice thing generally, but it might be even shorter game and it's like 1 life you lose. I don't know. Anyway, that is the end of everything that I was up to yesterday, playtest-wise. And Jess says, it's just 2 weeks of being careful. There's only holidays once a year, long enough to plan ahead and go to the UK. My school have paid for the flight. I'm going to the UK 3rd of April to 11th of May. Let me check what I'm doing between then. So 2nd of April to 10th of April, I am going to be doing stuff with Now Play This. But then 11th of May, I've got Dicini on the 1st of May, and I might be doing another Kickstarter in May for Compliments, a game about drawing creatures, complimenting the drawings and complimenting the compliments. But yes, that is something that I would like to get reprinted in time for UK Games Expo. And since it's a second printing, I would like to get other people involved. Say, hey, what things have you thought of? Like, what compliments guidance? Like, submit your own compliment guidance, submit your own creature features, and we will completely revamp the text, like kind of, and graphic design of that. But anyway, oh my gosh, Jess's mum is going to Thailand in October. That sounds lovely. And yes, we are both extroverts, and Jess probably more than me, slightly. Jess absolutely loves big events with lots of people and has been craving a rave or a party. But yes, I think you need to kind of, not do it. Well, lots of love, CD. I am going to finish up in a minute myself, but I hope that you have a wonderful sleep. And for now, I'm going to ask the question of the day. Question of the day. It's a little question before you go on or your way. Question of the day. Do you like balloons? What was the last time you had a balloon? What's your favorite kind of balloon? Like, do you remember those punchy balloons? Like, you used to have like these big strong balloons, and then they were attached by a rubber band, and then you kind of did this. So it was like boom, 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 and then you kind of made a rhythmic noises. Do you know the balloons that I mean? I only saw it once. Like one of my parents got us one. Like, I might have sneaked one out of a drawer that I wasn't really meant to. But it was just so amazing. It was like this big balloon, and then with this rubber band, and then you just make these rhythmic noises. It's just so much fun. I could do that for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. So much fun. Yeah, that is an amazing balloon. Also, foil balloons are kind of cool, but like the helium, it's not great for the environment. Remember, we've got limited resources of helium, and people are starting to realize that we need to use helium for medical reasons rather than helium for floaty things, ideally. Helium, yes. So I'm going to say little balloons within a big balloon, like you can actually have 3 layers of balloons. At Nuremberg Toy Fair, I saw the most amazing balloons. I saw a giant balloon that was literally, it was literally this bigger than my torso and head. It was literally, I don't know, maybe 1.5 meters diameter. And then inside this balloon, like, there were all these other things, and then the idea would be like you throw it up and then you pop it, and then all the little balloons come down. That's pretty amazing. But I'm happy with my balloon machine, which is still pretty amazing. It's like balloons within balloons, but it's also twisty balloon animals. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I think that's, if I had to choose just one balloon right now, I mean, yeah, the punchy balloons. That's my favorite balloon. What about you? Do you like balloon shapes, or do you like... CD says, I'm getting to be less and less of a fan of balloons, adding plastic to the pile in the environment. But yes, those punchy balloons are fun. Timmy says, I like the great balloon dirigible with cannons on the broadsides. Oh yeah, I hadn't considered that a balloon, but yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I get, oh my gosh, and you've got hot air balloons. I hadn't even considered that. Yeah. Talking about extroversion, Jess says, I think extroversion comes out in different ways for different people. I like balloons, but I worry that they're wasteful. Yeah, I hadn't really thought so much about this, um, but yes, I remember those balloons, and I could imagine Bez with a red one. Yes, it was actually red. I think a lot of balloons are generally red. So yeah, that's a good point about like the wastefulness, and that is something that we need to remember. Like they are one-time plastic, which is not great. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be I'm going to do a limited number of them, so you'll have maybe like it's a raffle and you spin a thing, and that's. I'm just kind of trying to work out if I wanted to limit the number of people who got their things in balloons. Oh, I'll do it this year, but not next year. Yeah, that's what I'll probably do. Anyway, Bez, I have one question. What was your favorite color as a kid? I didn't really have a favorite color. I know that I did a lot of work in purple. Like when I went to university, I had a moment, I had like a year where all my games were purple. This is online. Like I made online games. All my online games were purple. All my animations were purple. It was very light purple, very dark purple, bluish purple, reddish purple, different shades of purple. But exactly a purple phase. But now, like, it's mainly because I'm not honestly like red isn't. I don't feel like I have one favorite color. I do have a lot of red in my life, but that doesn't make it necessarily my favorite color. And yeah, I put on a red outfit. I went to UK Games Expo 2015. People recognized me, and I was like, oh, maybe I should keep this up. That's basically it. Jess's favorite colors was blue, but now it's pink. Oh, CD likes the Weeble type balloons that come back up when you punch them. Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying. That's fun. Reusable balloons. Oh, that's a cool idea. Like hot air balloons are reusable. What if we had little balloons that were reusable? What if you could untie a balloon and then tie it back up? Maybe there's a little clip for a balloon. That would be pretty gosh darn cool. CD's favorite color has always been lemon lime green. I'd have felt pen that color as a kid, and all my pictures had it in them. Jess's grandma loved green. Used to find green things just to show her. That's lovely. And before we finish, over to you. What are you up to? You can share button if you want to. I am going to get back to my Kickstarter, write a couple of updates. I'm also planning to do a bunch of more sheets because there's a playtest tomorrow on Sunday. I'm going to do a bunch more sheets of that. Then, yeah, I'm going to make sure I get out. It's looking fairly sunny today. I'm going to make sure that I post something to Adam in Wales. I'm going to definitely have something to eat, but generally I'm going to try and, yeah, while I'm not doing the Kickstarter, I'll be mainly drawing things and trying to work out new coloring in sheets for this blank versus blank game where you then ask a stranger. And asking a stranger wasn't like part of the key part of, wasn't part of the initial concept of the game. It was just, what if you're trying to get two different pictures? Well, who chooses what this looks more like, whether it's a skull or a ghost? Well, you need to ask a third party, right? And it doesn't seem to be too much of an imposition, even if you're in a public space. Hey, would you mind telling me, does this look more like a skull or a ghost to you? And then let's say a ghost, and then that determines the winner. And so it's not a big involvement from the third party. If you don't want to do that, you can also do it on social media, but it has to be a third party. Or if you're at a board gaming group, you can have like a friend, or if there's a housemate and two of you are playing it, and then you ask a housemate. It doesn't have to be a stranger necessarily, but it has to be someone outside of the game who didn't know who was trying to draw which thing, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I am up to. What are you up to? CD got some raw milk today. Tomorrow is a crafty day with remote things. That sounds lovely. Oh, I might have some cereal. I've got some milk that I need to use. Jess is going to hydrate and rest. so that Jess can cycle and kick ass soon. That sounds lovely. Good morning, Josie. It's lovely to see you. And yeah, this is my new game. I'm really excited by it. I made it and played it. Well, I invented it on Thursday, Wednesday. And we talked about the balloon game, and the balloon game went well. But yes, there's going to be a second edition coming out on Sunday. For when I say a second edition, I mean a second iteration for playtesting. But we are just about to recap and wrap up before I finish up. So to recap and wrap up, what did we talk about today? I talked about how annoyed at myself for not locking it up properly I am, because I lost my bike. And I want to say it's stolen, but it wasn't locked up properly. And so they didn't have to break the lock. Like I just, yeah. Wednesday, I was like thinking about the Kickstarter, I was thinking about lots of things. That's one thing I talked about. I talked about playtesting. I talked about Ellie Dix being a brilliant designer. I talked about Colin having these so lovely games. David Brain also had lovely games. I talked about Layla coming back from Turkey and Turkish Delights. I talked about my new game, which is like, does this look more like a skull or a ghost? Does this look more like a skull or a ghost? And that is the final thing of what the game looks like. It is currently, at least, a roll and write, but you're unlike any other roll and writes you've ever played. I mean, I'm trying to think of the closest thing that it is to, but I just can't think of anything like it, which I'm really proud of. I talked about the balloon game, that there was a sense of tension, but then I'm going to maybe try out some more things, like CD says, like some garnishes, maybe some hidden cards, like maybe there's a weight and a sharpness rating. That feels like the two things. It's all about filling in balloons. If you want to check me out, I'm Stuff by Bez everywhere, stuffbybez.com, stuffbybez.bigcartel.com to buy my stuff, twitter.com/stuffbybez, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, youtube.com/stuffbybez, and please, 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 if you haven't already, please do check out my latest Kickstarter. And yep, let me actually find the link. So check out my latest Kickstarter, and if you want a physical copy, then please back for a physical copy. You can get it within the UK. If you don't want a physical copy, then please back for £1, because £1 really helps. So yes, this just to give my screen share. There we go. And we are up to 211 backers. Amazing. So we've got 2 more backers since this morning. Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Was it an inflated idea? Yep. Thank you for the commiserations about the bikes. Oh, balloon porcupines and pineapples. Oh, that's brilliant. Like, you've got to actually, I mean, I'm not doing this in real life, but if you had to put a pineapple into the thing at some point, that would be definitely interesting. And then you have to kind of put cushioning and bubble wrap, which have negative sharpness. And so they manage to take off the sharpness. And yes, definitely using that balloon idea. Stealing is socially frowned upon, shameful in Thailand. Yeah, but it's shameful here. But lots of love to you all. And that's it. Check out stuffbybez.com/streams if you want to. Tomorrow I'm streaming a cooking thing. It'll be relatively quick. Then Monday will be more about the Kickstarter. Tuesday and Wednesday, I've got Jessica Mederingham and Alan Paul joining me. Thursday, I'll basically just talk about the final day of the Kickstarter. And that's it for... And next Saturday, I've got Joseph Kelly. But share, spread the word. Lots of love. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate you. And the last thing that I always have to say, is it's been a delight, but for now, bye bye, bye bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, bye bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye, Josie. Bye bye, Jess. Bye bye, Timmy and Tom, if you're still here. Bye bye, CD. Bye bye.